Welcome, everyone. Especially want to welcome those of you who are new and here for the first time. We're glad that you're here, and if you would like to, please greet us afterwards. We'd love to connect with you. Today's topic, the redeeming light, is a very important one. And the purpose of our lives here on earth is to learn how to draw that light, that grace into our lives. That's what we're doing with all of our experiences, all of our many incarnations. We're learning about faith. We're growing our faith. And Yogananda's mother's immeasurable faith, as he put it, is what we need to have. To be able to magnetize God's grace into our lives. And how do we do that? How do we grow our faith? We may feel as though our lives are full of darkness. We may have had the worst childhood on record. We may have had terrible career that bombed, and children who hate us, family drama unending, and financial troubles, health troubles, racked with pain and grief. The darkness is just unending. There's so much misery in this world. The more we learn and grow, the more we see, my God, so much suffering. There's a line from one of Yogananda's poems. If in the midst of life, disease, and death you play the dancer, yet keep calling him. And that's the answer. That's the answer to all of our darkness, all of our pain and grief and suffering, is to turn to the light. Even if all we can do is crawl, and just keep moving our consciousness towards the light. And that can be very, very simple. That can be just remembering the words of Jesus. Knock, and it will be opened unto you. Seek, and ye shall find. Ask, and it will be given. Just have to remember to ask. There's something that Yogananda said to do. He said, repeat the words of Jesus, I and my Father are one. As an affirmation, just say that in the midst of life, disease, and death when you're dancing. Remember, I and my Father are one. And isn't that our Hong Saw meditation technique? Hong Saw, I am He, I am Spirit, I and my Father are one. There is no substitute for practicing meditation. That's how we create the habit of thinking that we are spirit. And all of that darkness, all of that experience that rises up to cause us pain and suffering, that is the dream. It's over. Let it go, the way of all nightmares, just down the drain. That's not real. What's real is that we are children of light. We are made of God's light. There's a very limited range of light and energy that the human organ of sight, or all the five senses, can perceive. Even birds can see more colors than we can. We're only able to see within a certain spectrum. We cannot see the atoms in our bodies that are filled with light. We are created of light. But we have to grow spiritually until we can perceive that truth. Now, how do we grow in light, in that consciousness of light, in that faith that I and my Father are one? How do we do that? Well, one of the keys to it is to share whatever light you have. Just like a pond becomes stagnant if there's nothing coming in and nothing going out. We need to be like a river of light. God's grace coming in, and we share whatever inspiration we have. Be like that flowing river. Swami's last directive to us before he left his body was he wanted us to go out, tour, and share that light. And that's why we go out every time we're asked. We just got back from a trip, and after service you're all invited to stay for a few minutes and we'll share a little bit about that trip. Whenever I think of sharing the light, I remember many years ago someone introduced at a program a couple of Ananda teachers, and he said, for more than 30 years they've been putting out the light. Like turning it off every chance they get. So it's important in our own lives too. Think, am I putting out the light or am I sharing the light? And we may think, oh, well, my job is so worldly, I can't share light there. You can share light everywhere. By being cheerful, by being serviceful, by being compassionate and kind, by giving love whenever you have the chance. That's sharing the light. By being angry and being grumpy and being depressed and moping, that's putting out the light. So make that choice. Give light, give blessing. We received this morning a little video clip from a friend on the island of Hawaii. And this little video clip was taken in the night. And he said, it's Michael from Polestar, and he said, running the camera, it's a little warm here. There's this river of fire in front of him. Molten lava fire. And he said, see this beautiful river? And look on the other side there, see that little light? That's our porch light on Polestar. Meaning that it's not been engulfed yet by that beautiful river of flame. And his attitude has been so exemplary through this whole thing. Everything they've built could be snuffed out in a second. Good point for everyone. This world, you could probably repeat back to me what I'm going to say, but from the scriptures, I love this. The scriptures of India say life is ever uncertain, like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. We have to share that light while we have the opportunity. We have to give that compassion wherever we have the opportunity. And know that whatever we have in this world, we can't take it with us anyway. And it could be engulfed in a river of fire. Any moment, life is uncertain. But what is certain is the light and love and joy of God. And if we keep drawing that light into our lives through our practice of meditation, through our service, through our love for other people and our caring about them. We fill our lives with a river of light and joy. The rest of it, as I said, it's just dreams. But that bliss of spirit, the light of spirit, that is the reality. So dwell on what is permanent. Find that bliss within.
That image of a river, it's really quite striking. Maybe we can figure out a way to show it today, because we'll show a few slides from our trip also. It's interesting that there really isn't much of anything that can resist a river of lava. And it's a helpful reminder for all of us that we can try to resist, and people do try to resist the river of grace or the river of light that's flowing through them or near them. And yet, we can only do that for so long. And in doing so, we end up reaping the result, which Nirmala articulated well, of all the painful dramas that we go through in life. And those dramas are real for as long as we keep our consciousness in them. It's a question of focus. We had a friend that we had gotten to know a little bit in Russia, who was nearing her transition point. She had stage 4 cancer and had asked for prayers, and a group of devotees went to visit her, and she was very grateful to see them. I don't know if just the fact that she was Russian was enough to make her not take any pain medication, but her final prayer was just ask that I can go into the light, and ask that I can go into the light soon. And lo and behold, she was gone literally the next day, or maybe 2 days, but I mean, it was really, really fast. And as we meet and greet this transition experience, and we also here in this community lost one of our members also in the past week, Ruby Brown, there is this sense, this human sense of loss. Someone that we knew is no longer present, visible to our eyes to see. And what are we going to do with that? What are we going to do about that? And there is this innate mystery in it that we can't sort of overcome. And yet there is a blessing. There's this grace that flows through when we are able to sort of bring our gaze up above the horizon. When we can look upward and see that the drama is relevant to our nature. We all come here for a purpose. We all come here for a reason. But it's not, the drama itself is not the only purpose. There is also this inner kingdom of light that is ours to perceive as and when we're able to. And we have to open to that. It's never forced upon us. We have to be willing, but when faced with that, we sort of have, there's this automatic question: what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with that experience? And Nirmala was referring to this. If you look on the Google Maps, in just the right spot in Hawaii, you'll see meditation center. Polestar is listed as a meditation center. And of course they have gardens and they do teaching programs and so forth. But, they have a 20-acre piece of property that is beautifully developed. They have a number of wonderful buildings, a temple, several homes, and guest facilities and so forth. And it could indeed all just be vaporized by a hot river of lava should the drama turn in that direction. They've been protected so far, I think, by a bubble of grace and light. But one is never certain. And that uncertainty does not have to be a source of uncertainty or discomfort, unless we choose to make it so. Some of the most vulnerable is one word I could fill in the blank here with. Unpredictable is another. Some of the most challenging moments actually lead us to the deepest center of our being. I'm reminded of a time when Swamiji felt that he had no life at all. He had been removed from the organization that Yogananda started. He was on his own. He was 36 years old. He basically had no money, and he was living at his parents' home in Atherton, down in the Bay Area, and not really knowing what to do with his life. And what are you going to do with this one? You know, it's like, kind of reminds me of there's a pitch in baseball called a knuckleball. And you don't see it much anymore, but back in the day, knuckleballs were not, they weren't common, but they were not uncommon either. A knuckleball is a ball that is thrown with no spin on it, and you don't know what it's going to do. It darts, it moves, it wiggles. It's not, it doesn't have a clear trajectory. Someone asked a famous catcher once, how do you catch a knuckleball? And he said, you wait till it stops rolling and then you go and pick it up. Well, sometimes we can feel like that in our lives when life throws a knuckleball at us and we don't know where it's going to go or what it's going to do. And yet, if we get to the core of our being, we find, and this is what Swamiji found in that experience, he said, in the moment I felt like I was living in a desert. I felt like there was nothing to live for, there was nothing to live with. I'm paraphrasing the energy of what he described. But he said, underneath there was a river of joy that never ever went away. And sometimes in our lives, what is being asked of us is not more complication, it's more simplicity. In fact, I would say that that's a truth that's a lot more common than we may think it is. So often we want to add something to our lives, and by way of fixing whatever problem is there, when in fact what life is saying is simplify a bit and get to what's real, get to what's get to what's at the core of your being, because that's true, that's real. We've often quoted the line that Christ says, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Now, truth is a word that we toss around kind of like a fact that went to college, and it's sort of got a degree. But it isn't just, fact is not just the defining point of truth. Truth is beneficial. Truth is what stays. I'm reminded of the song that we sing here of Swamiji's, Truth Can Never Die. The world may change or disappear, but truth can never die. Now, if you think for a moment, if the world disappeared, that would sort of interrupt afternoon tea. That would kind of like change the dynamic of our work week if the world just kind of like disappeared. And yet, truth can never die, which is to say the truth of who we are, the truth of our being, which is rooted in divine light. I've mentioned this before, but I once went to search. You can search for all sorts of bizarre things. I searched for the lifespan of a photon one time. And because it just kind of intrigued me, photons, fling out from the Big Bang, and they're sailing across the universe at the speed of light for a long time. And we may see them like coming out of the light fixtures or coming from the sun or whatever, but they've been around for a long time. How long? How long could they live? 14 billion years doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the lifespan of a photon. I mean, we're talking, it's hard to even put a number to it. In fact, they really can't put a number to it, which is another way of saying that light is eternal. Even in this realm, where a photon is kind of right at the juncture of physical reality and metaphysical reality. Yes, it does have a physical reality. When we look at it and measure it in certain situations, yes, there is actually a component to it. It strikes the photocells, and it generates electricity. It strikes our eyes and we see light, etc. But the essence of it is something deeper. The essence of it is something unique and true in the truest sense of the word true. It is eternal. It is God's presence in this universe, in every little particle of light, and literally, actually, in every particle of space, because light is passing everywhere. We may not see it, as Nirmala pointed out. We see this narrow spectrum. A dog or a cat or other creatures in this world see and hear and smell and tune into vibrations that are far subtler than what we can see on both ends of the spectrum. We cannot see God. This is actually the topic of one of the other Sunday services. We cannot see God with these two eyes unless we learn to see God everywhere and realize that everything we're looking at is God. But we can perceive God with the single eye of wisdom. And that, I'll just augment what Nirmala was saying, that is our purpose in life. Find the truth. Find the truth that will make us free. We are made in the image of God. We are made out of light in the image of divine light. It's our nature, it's our birthright, it's our hope, it's our dream. And if you come to the satsang after Sunday service, we're going to show you, we're going to take you on a little tour of something that you, I think, have not ever seen before. And we get a vision of light in a very special way. And I won't say any more about it. I'll leave you hanging on that one, a little cliffhanger there. But realize that all the drama of our lives, you could try to shoehorn your life for a moment, just for fun, shoehorn your life into one of the categories, one or several of the categories that movies are. Are you a romantic comedy? Are you just a regular comedy? Are you a drama? Are you a horror movie? God, I hope not. A sports movie, action
fiction.
Adventure movie. Where is your life along the spectrum? Find the truth under the drama. The drama isn't you. We are not our story. We are the light that's passing through us. The light that brings us from two-dimensional energy into three-dimensional appearance. We are appearances. The light has to be balanced by shadow, otherwise we have no drama. If you could stare into the beam of a movie projector, literally stare into it, it probably would hurt your eyes, I would think. It'd be really, really, really strong. But you also wouldn't really see much of the drama that's going to be projected on the screen behind you because that light would be so intense. Well, in the drama of our lives, there has to be a certain amount of light and shadow, otherwise you can't see anything. If it was all dark, you couldn't see anything, there's no drama. If it's all blinding light, you can't really see any drama. So for this world, it has to be light, shadow, light, shadow. Well, that little image, that little example is going to play out in countless scenarios in our lives. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be births and deaths. Another of our members had twins recently in New York, and if you look on Facebook, you'll see Annapurna's little twins. I think they're twin. Are they twin boys?
Boy and girl.
Boy and girl. Okay. Anyway, reminded me a little bit of myself and my sister when I look at twins, baby pictures of us as twins. But all the drama, all the ups and downs, it still comes back to the divine light of joy in our own hearts and in our own lives. Search underneath the drama. Search in meditation, in prayer, in inner stillness. Search in a walk in the woods. Search in every situation in life. And that truth will eventually be made manifest. We'll take an offering now.